My name is Sara Casler, and I am a professor of Spanish at Sierra College, and I teach at the Grass Valley campus in Northern California. And I have studied Spanish out of a love and passion for the language and the people and all that that brings with it. I get to travel now and then using my Spanish, but really what I love is that I get to share it with my students. I love literature in general. Poetry has kind of fallen into my lap, and I've found that I could not put it down. This book, the La belleza de ser mujer, I first came across it as kind of an assignment for my students to engage with, to meet you, the author. But I couldn't put it down, and I just kept reading the poems for myself. I'd kind of initially started just to look for which ones did we want to discuss as a class, and I found myself reading all 29 that you shared with us. And so it's kind of exciting to find that I am interested in poetry. I think I've had more of a formal relationship with it most of my life, and it's kind of fun to discover that I don't need it to be formal. It can just be for pleasure or interest or all that connection that can happen in poetry. It's more intimate than maybe other pieces of literature.
Do you like using it?
Yeah, I have, and this has really been the first year that I've used it in a very long time. I tend to, because I'm teaching at a community college and we're at the elementary or intermediate levels of Spanish, I tend to use either very small, simple verses in Spanish 1, and maybe we're focusing more on pronunciation or familiar vocabulary. But as I've been teaching Spanish 3 and 4, and we kind of changed our curriculum so it takes people a little bit further into the language, I've really enjoyed getting into poetry this last year with my students. They had such a positive experience approaching these poems, and we only had them in English this particular time, so we did a much deeper analysis than I've done in Spanish, but I think it kind of reminded me of what I could do with them even in Spanish, and I think in the future I'll be using the Spanish.
So which ones were your favorite?
I liked a lot of them. I think part of what I liked was the variety, that you have some that are mystical and others that are more like a personal story, that you feel like you're getting this kind of window into someone else's soul, and whether that resonates with you or if it's more of just the spectator experience of hearing someone else's story. I really enjoyed La Abuela, and then Sing Woman Sing. Blue Tree was a favorite with my students and also very fascinating. I enjoyed that. But what I was really surprised by is that, I read them in English and just thought they were fabulous. And then when I read them in Spanish, I fell in love with them in a different way. I just found that your careful, painstaking translations were awesome. And so the heart of them remains the same, but also sometimes just rhythm is maybe a little different. Or for me, I find that I have words that mean something, despite the definitions being, English definition, Spanish definition, one in one language or the other holds more meaning or a different mood or something. And so it was really cool to experience both.
Would you recommend the book?
Yes, absolutely. I found it very approachable. I know that we had English students also read these and attend your reading, and it was extremely open for both of them, both Spanish students or English students, to delve right into the poems. They are, again, intriguing, interesting. They take you on journeys, and they aren't overly long or super hard for people. I think that, like with much poetry, you can interpret it in different ways, but it was very approachable for our students. And so I would recommend it for the teaching aspect, but also just for pleasure. I think a lot of people will enjoy that.